Hi, this is Glenda, and today I will be making a koala soap. This video is going to be a little bit more comprehensive than my usual videos. I'm going to include the process of mixing the water with the lye or sodium hydroxide. So if you're already familiar with those steps, feel free to skip ahead, and you can do that by clicking on the shortcuts in the description box to the chapters of the video. I start by measuring the water, which I already did, and then I'm going to measure the lye. I am wearing gloves, eye protection, and I also like to wear a respirator because the fumes tend to get to me. I do mix it in a well-ventilated area. Ideally, I do it by the window, but since I wanted this to be on camera, I'm a little bit farther from the window, but not too far. Once the sodium hydroxide is measured, I'm going to add it to the water while I stir it. And I keep stirring it until it looks like it's fully dissolved. I will be using a natural colorant today, and that is indigo powder. It's right here, and I had mixed it ahead with a little bit of water to hydrate it, following the advice from Jo Hauser. Hopefully I pronounced her last name correctly. I'm gonna put it on the screen anyway. She advises to add the indigo powder to the lye water solution for better results using this colorant. I will also be mixing the oils specifically for this batch. Usually I use my master batch oils, but in this case I want to use this infusion of nettle powder into olive oil, which should give me a green base of colors that mix with the blue from the indigo. I hope I will get some kind of like a bluish teal color soap. I am going to strain it so that I can catch some of the larger particles of the nettle leaf powder before mixing the rest of the oils. In addition to the olive oil, I use coconut oil, and I will put a link in the description box below to the blog post that will have the recipe if you want to see the actual amounts. I also add castor oil and shea butter, and lastly some beef tallow. After melting the oils, they are at 119, almost 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which would be the same as 48 Celsius. The lye water solution, it is at 45 Celsius or 115 Fahrenheit. Usually I make soap at cooler temperatures than this. However, in this case, since my design is pretty simple, I'm not worried about having extra time to do swirls. And also, I want to make sure that the soap goes through gel phase, and the mold that I will be using has thin walls, so it's not very good at insulating a soap. The fragrance that I will be using is going to be a blend of Eucalyptus and a Spearmint from Lone Star Candle Supply. I chose this fragrance because I learned that koalas like to eat eucalyptus leaves, which is quite interesting because eucalyptus leaves are very toxic. Most mammals will die from eating as many of them as koalas do. However, their stomachs have become specialized and they're able to separate the toxic portions so that it doesn't harm them. With that being said, eucalyptus leaves do not have a lot of nutritional value to them. They don't have calories. So most koalas are usually sleepy. They sleep about 18 to 20 hours a day because of this. And once they are on the ground, they're susceptible to predators because they're not very mobile. And the main reason why they come to the ground is to drink water. It used to be that they were able to get their water from the leaves of the eucalyptus. However, because of climate change and weather change, they don't get as much water from the leaves anymore, so they have to come down to drink, which is when they become exposed to predators or also to being run over by cars if they have to cross a road, which is why they are now considered endangered species. I am blending the lye solution with the oils, doing short bursts, and then just stirring it with the spatula. And after a few, maybe 10-15 seconds of this, I will give another burst with a stick blender until I reach light trace. It is kind of hard to see if it has reached trace because of the dark color of the mix. So I did move a lamp at some point so that I could see it better. Once it reached trace, I was able to add the fragrance, mix it a little bit more, and then pour it into the mold. I wanted the soap to be at medium trace when I pour it so that I could add the embeds on top fairly fast and they wouldn't sink down. Speaking of the embeds, it's just some koalas, and I'm going to show you next how I made them. I made them with soap dough or soap clay or moldable soap, however you want to call it. And I started by grabbing a small piece of brown soap dough to create a branch. I roll it in between my palms to create a log, and then I grab some of the gray color soap dough and shape it into like an oval shape with a pointy tip. Once I had the overall shape, I added a small piece of light color soap dough so that it will reflect the light color chest of a koala. Next, I'm going to adhere it to the brown soap dough that represents the tree branch. And then I'll make indentations where the arms and the leg is supposed to go. I added some water in between the body of the koala and the tree branch so that it will work as glue, and I let it sit for a little while so that it could dry together. Once I shaped the arm, which is just a log rolled in between my palms, and the leg, I just added it by adding also a little bit of water to act like glue. So far we have a headless koala, so I'm going to make the head. I'm going to do this by grabbing a small piece of the soap dough and rolling it in between my hands to create an oval shape. I'm going to create a small taper edge on one side, and then I'm going to create an indentation with a tool so that the pointy part of the body will fit nicely in this spot. I'm going to follow a similar procedure to add the ears. So I first make an indentation on each side of the head, and then I'm going to create the ears just by rolling a small ball, and I'm going to taper one end so that it's pointy and it will fit in the hole that I made on the head. Now to create the final details, I just need to create an indentation for the nose, and I'm going to fill it with a small piece of black soap dough, and I'll follow a similar procedure for the eyes. The eyes can be quite tricky because it only requires a very small amount of soap dough. Another option is just to paint them with a small brush and black mica mixed with alcohol. The last step is to spray them with alcohol so that it goes into all the small crevices and the small parts will stay stuck together, and then it also helps smooth out any rough areas. Once I finish placing the koalas, I put the soap mold inside a shoebox. I then cover it with a towel to make sure that it goes through gel phase. This is to help the natural colorants become stronger. Oh, that's an interesting color inside. Let's see if I can show you. That looks interesting. I like it. Anyway, I'm gonna take pictures within a few weeks to see if the color changes, and I'll show you next.